And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the African American Athlete. I'm Ricky Hampton with my friend and fraternity brother Michael Roberson, coming to you on a Monday evening. Hope everybody's had a fantastic weekend. Hope all your teams
Happy
won.
birthday to Mike.
And happy birthday to Mike. Had a great birthday weekend. Mike, we got a good show tonight. Better than good, great. We got two legendary guys from the world of black college football. Coach William Head, a legendary coach at Fisk University, administrator, uh, worked at several HBCUs over his career as an athletic director, coach, football legend as a coach, played at Fisk University, and the pride of Tennessee State. When you wear number 12 at Tennessee State, boy, you better be able to get down. And James Wade came in there and led the Tigers to the first OVC championship, I believe. Correct, James?
No, that wasn't me. That was Leon Murray.
But y'all did not win it your first year? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
It was
Nonetheless, y'all won.
Yeah.
Y'all, y'all were definitely a winning team. We got James Wade in the house. And we're going to get to several times. James, when I saw a post you had today, I had to get in touch with you. I've been trying to get you on really for years, man. But when I saw what you talked about today regarding the state of not only Tennessee State football, but I think that applies to HBCU football and the lower levels of football all over. I want to talk to you about that, and you have some interesting thoughts on that. And I wanted to also, but I guess before we get into anything, man, and again, welcome to our audience out there. Uh, any questions and comments you have tonight, please send them to us. But I would like to discuss the situation that went on at the University of Michigan over the weekend, the firing of Coach Sharon Moore. Uh, Everybody knows the details of this right now. Uh, having an affair with a subordinate on his job, then goes over to the lady's house and does whatever that. He wakes up in the morning, the coach of the University of Michigan. He goes to bed that night in jail. Just James, when you saw that, what did you think, man?
And at first I didn't want to believe it. For one, it's very tough. We don't have that many opportunities, on that level. And Coach, Sharon was, I don't want to say gifted, but he was put in a very, very, very good position. They left him there in a championship level team, and high praise from a coach, that left there, and the fans, were buying in, and you can see the recruits. He got the number one quarterback coming in, so he's doing good things in terms of relating with the players. But seeing that hurt, it hurt because I know there's guys that are that look like us that are knocking on the door to get to that next level, and this is another little chink that knocks us down a little bit, and we got to go back and try to prove ourselves again. And it hurts. I'm hurt for him and his family, and definitely those players in there that you spend so much time with, teaching them about living the right way and doing the right things. And then, your head coach kind of falls short there. So, that definitely hurts, from that perspective. So I hope those guys, forgive him, pick him up, and hope he gets his life together.
Michael.
All right. Well, for me, and let me digress a little bit. So we talked about this whole weekend with this going on, and that did put a damper on it. But the wild thing that happened on my birthday also is our TSU basketball team upset UNLV in Vegas. So I was kind of like remorseful that I wasn't there because I was actually in San Jose covering Stanford, San Jose State, and they got the win and gave me birthday love, but I'm keeping an eye on TSU, and they won it. So that made it a good weekend. But guess what else could have happened? The Heisman was announced that day, and I was like praying that it would have been a situation where Marcel Reed, TSU affiliated, would have been up there for that Heisman. How awesome would that have been as a birthday present that you get Marcel winning the Heisman, TSU beating UNLV, and then all the other things that went with that. So I digress from that. But yeah, this whole thing is like, and let's not forget the whole Michigan State coach previous to this. So it's like, you have that, you have a situation where it's a proud moment, and then you get somebody that really relished the position as a black head coach, James Franklin. He gets thrown out.
It's fired.
Just think about this time last year. Our Notre Dame coach basically said, "Hey, it's a distraction. I don't want to talk about being a black coach. You're in a position, the first ever black head coach to coach a national championship game, and you shuffle it off." Where James Franklin was saying, "I would be honored to be the first black head coach to win a national championship." And people looked at him like, "Man, you're not even black, are you?"
Yeah.
He's more proud than the one that's obviously looking black.
Yeah.
So we had that going on last year. Then you fast forward now, Franklin's out, Freeman, Notre Dame, they basically got kicked to the curb, and then they said, "We're not going to do any bowl." So now his whole persona looks horrible. So that's what I'm saying, is that when you do get the black coaches, they seem to have some type of negativity attached to them. And then we only had a handful. So yeah, we see this situation where you get the Michigan job, which people dream of, and Harbaugh, even though Harbaugh, like Pete Carroll, left with all kind of dirt going on back at the campus, but still, it still is a great position, and you just absolutely imploded the whole thing and basically set black coaches back years, because they're going to always have that excuse.
As you see the candidates for that job, you don't see a single brother on that list, Coach Head.
You won't. Even if Rod Woodson tried to do it. I mean, not Rod Woodson, Charles Woodson.
Yeah, Charles. Yeah, not this cycle. Maybe another 8 years, but not this cycle for sure.
Right. Coach.
I am now calling the Big Ten, that zero in Big Ten is the black hole for black coaches. Mm-hmm. It is, and I won't blame the conference. I'll blame the two gentlemen at Michigan and Michigan State for missteps that cost them their jobs. But in the James Franklin case, I listened to a young man on the internet last night after we talked, Rick, and he was talking about the fact that there was some scuffling, shuffling, whatever, of the folks who give money to the Penn State program. So it struck me like, as it sounded like the University of Texas situation was when Charlie Strong went down there, and the largest contributor to the university said he can be the offensive coordinator, he can even be the defensive coordinator, but he can't be the face of Texas football. And I am satisfied in this era of half-truths, cancel culture, all of these things, that these men were under tremendous pressure to do a reclamation project on programs that were suffering. Tucker up at Michigan State had 2 good years before they decided to, well, 1 good year, 1 not so good, before they decided to lynch him. And of course, this thing with Coach Moore is just too disturbing, and it's made more disturbing because of all of the unnecessary coverage of it the questioning of the man's moral judgment. His judgment was bad. I would not say his morals are bad, but he made a bad call. It was 4th and 1 on the 1, and he threw a deep pass, and
out the end zone.
And that was not that wasn't necessary or viable. So you find yourself, as a friend of mine wrote on his Facebook page, he is quite dismayed by what this gentleman did to himself, but he finds it very, very difficult to watch him being crucified over and over and over and over again.
I'm totally with that. I'm very disappointed with him. But man, this is, for one, coach. I hope somebody's telling, bro, this is the death sentence. You can rise from this. There are better days ahead. But I find it strange in this country, a football coach is held to higher standards than the president of the United States.
Hallelujah. For sure.
But we would be remiss. We would be remiss if we didn't go through the elephant in the room. Also, that dynamic that goes all the way back to Jack Johnson, big black man, white woman. You're gonna always be the worst.
Look, race is to me, race is always a part of situations like this. If he was a white coach and Michigan was in the playoffs and they were pleased with the direction of the football team, we might hear about this, but we wouldn't hear about it until after the season was over. I am quite sure about that. But
what's the gentleman who was just removed as the interim coach at Arkansas, who was the head coach at Louisville at one time?
Bobby Petrino.
Yeah. He in his first trip to Arkansas, he was accused and appropriately disciplined for the same crime that Mr. Moore committed. So much so that he told a lie and said he had a motorcycle accident.
Right.
Usually when motorcycle accidents happen, you hurt your lower body. This particular gentleman had bruises about his shoulders and his neck and his head from a baseball bat, softball bat that they say his girlfriend had at her house and walked in on the two. Now, I can't verify that. That may or may not be true, but that's the story in Arkansas. I had just left the employ of Arkansas Pine Bluff and had several friends there. So the action that Michigan took is appropriate, given what we know about these types of circumstances. The over-the-top finger pointing, finger wagging, all of that, I think, but it's a sign of the times. Everybody's got one of these doggone things in their pocket or in their hand for 24/7. So everybody gets to give their critique.
Yeah, everybody's a reporter now.
Yeah. I talked to a friend in Kentucky about what happened on the Kentucky State campus the other day, the shooting there. And she had a particular scenario that she'd been given somebody and would not yield to the fact that that was not true. So I sent a video that a friend of mine who works on the Kentucky State campus sent me. And she said, "Oh, okay." So what happened and how it happened is, as far as I've been able to read, has not been clarified, other than the fact that there was an inappropriate relationship. And of course, giving an employee a $40,000 raise doesn't help a lot.
Yeah, his major flaw mistake was going over to the house.
Yeah, I think
that's what ended him up in jail, man.
Yeah,
but again, we the black white thing, I mean, is different for us, and that's one of the things I want to have James on about, to talk about not just this incident, but I mean, in every segment of society, really. But we're channeling it into athletics right now. And James, you had a post today talking about the transfer portal and how it undermines HBCU athletics. Talk to our audience about what prompted you to come to these conclusions.
Just a little back. I started the 1912 Sports Group with some more TSU alum. We're the NIL collective for TSU. We started in June of 2025. And it came about when we lost our head coach 2 weeks before spring ball. We went to Bowling Green, and 40 players went to the portal. So can you imagine trying to have spring practice with 50 players and not a full coaching staff, and then they don't arrive until July and August, and then you start playing football. So it was tough, as we were sitting there in the spring meeting with the new coach. It was like we have to, if we want to compete, we have to have funds to be able to attract and retain. And the big thing we were about is retention. The talent that, the risk that we take to go out on the road, identify the talent, bring in the talent, develop the talent, and then they leave. And then you got to start this whole process all over again. And some of these kids are, leaving for money and some promises. So this year, after the season's over, we lose 4 players that were basically first-year players off a 2-10 team, leave to get in the portal. And out of those 4, none of them were first team all conference. So that part, it's like they didn't even make all conference.
What are you doing?
I'm just saying they didn't even make all conference, and they're starting. Okay, so you lose 4 starters, didn't make all conference, just get in the portal, haven't seen any commitments of them yet, and you're like, man, this is tough, because when you look at the statistics of it, 31% of those people that go into the portal, they never come out. They don't come out.
Sure.
And 3 of the 10 only, 3 of the 10 may go up. The rest of them are going to stay at the same level or go down or don't make it at all. So it's bad. It's just mind-boggling that these kids are getting this type of advice from, I don't know, parents and agents that are coming in, and you're seeing agent deals where they're taking 20% of the deal, and then you look at the average. What's the average cost? What's the average that they're paying players? It's $10,000 to $15,000 a year.
Right.
It's not even like, not everybody's getting, as much money as Marcel Reed is getting.
Right.
Things like, they're not even getting close to that, but it's disheartening, because you do all that work, from the program perspective, and this goes to the lower levels too, because it just feeds downhill, because now, the FCS schools are not going up to try to get players. They're going the other way too. They're going down to get players that are already developed. We're talking about coaches that want to have stability, so I'd rather take a guy that's played 2 years in college than a 17 or 18-year-old if I'm trying to win now to save my job. So all these things are in there. But when you look at it from, HBC perspective, we're typically financially strapped in a lot of cases, and a lot of schools are suffering, or may not have the best facilities, may not even have the best fan support, in some cases. So it's hard for us to stay competitive, because if we don't win it that next year, we're gonna have to have a whole new team to come in, and most likely with limited funds, you're not gonna get the best of the best that's available. You want to get that second and third tier, player in there. Yeah, Mike, give it.
Yeah. My question, James, is this: when you were operating in this situation, because a lot of people said, well, Eddie left because of all the upheaval was going on economically with the state owns TSU money, but trying to make it seem like you're not managing the money properly. So we got to hold it up like this and make you guys suffer, cut everybody. The president's gone. Yeah. Dr. Glover's gone. So there's a lot of mess going on. And then how much of it is being a state school as opposed to someone like a Fisk and other schools that are private that you can actually give them money? Even though the NIL has changed that, but does it still kind of make it hard that you're the only state school in the area, and a lot of red tape has to come to be because of what's going on now with them owing about $1 billion to the school?
Yeah, $2 billion. That was like $2 billion.
Right.
No, that's
$2 billion. Everybody, billion
with the B.
With a B.
So it's that part is really crazy, because all the other state schools, they've gotten their allocation over all the years. We didn't. All the other state schools have stadiums on campus. We don't, and then, the money, and now they're, we could actually get a new stadium, but we can't use certain funds. We got to do bonds and all these types of things to get a new stadium on campus for money. Again, we can't use the money that you owe us to do that, but here's another avenue. We just have to do, have to go through all these things now. Now, some of that is, I think, I'm not like really, I don't say pointing fingers, but when you look at it from the top and you say, hey, there's been mismanagement of funds. Okay, if I'm running a business and my CFO is mismanaging funds, well, there's going to be some limits and things that's going to happen. I'm not going to be, as forgiving or lenient, with that person. So I think some of that fallback has happened with TSU over the years because of things that we've done, and we didn't handle the money correctly, and that's one thing, but still doesn't erase 40 years of not getting your checks from the match. That part doesn't go away. But then the second part of that is, a lot of people say, well, you're looking at alumni. Alumni has to do this, alumni has to do that. And you can probably go across all the colleges. Everybody's probably still outside of a few, 10 to 20 colleges. Those numbers are very similar to how much alumni are actually giving back. So there's this huge, misconception that these schools that have all this money, the alumni are just giving back all this money. That's not necessarily the case, in all cases. So with us, from HBCU and the NIL perspective, we have to start more locally, doing like local businesses, be more community-based, like all the players that we've signed so far. Our initiative is to get them out in the community. Okay. When I was growing up, I grew up in Nashville, and my mom worked at Tennessee State, and my dad was one of the starters of the Booster Club. So from the time I can even remember that I have a memory, I was on TSU's campus.
NYSP.
You want to go get him anywhere else, Coach Head?
And NYSP.
NYSP. I was always
every pre-college. All of that. To speak of the issue with Tennessee State, when you over the years are underfunded by $2.1 billion
with a B,
you tend to find yourself in some tight financial straits.
Yeah.
The problem with Tennessee State, number one, is that the state lied about the mismanagement of money. Dr. Glover finally responded and told everybody that she was promised money for scholarships, that when the students she had recruited came to school, the idiot we have as a governor and Mr. Mum, whatever his name is, decided they were not going to give the money to Tennessee State for the scholarships that they had promised her. So if that was mismanagement, the issue was the money was promised but not delivered when it was needed. That's Dr. Glover's version. Mm-hmm. Now we've heard all the media in Nashville talk about her mismanaging money. Well, if you have been promised money by your funding source, and you get to the point where the money needs to be in place and they don't put it there, is that your problem or the state's problem? Now, to Tennessee State stadium situation. Without Tennessee State University, the Tennessee Titans could not have come to Nashville, right, because they could not have let a bond issue unless there was an entity that was going to use that stadium as a home base. Notice Tennessee State University. But then when they got the stadium built, they charged Tennessee State for the use of the stadium. Well, hell, you wouldn't have it without Tennessee State. How do you now charge them rent? They charged them to clean up the parking lot. They charged them to clean up the interior of the stadium. And they took the concessions from Tennessee State. So all the sources of income went out the window.
Right.
All the ticket sales went into rental and taking care of preparing the field, cleaning up afterwards, and security. Mm-hmm. Now,
and James, think about this. Mm-hmm. You know, the whole Hell Stadium to our viewers from across the country, legendary stadium where many great games have been played, but it needs a ton of work, and that's been the fact for what, 40 years now, because you had to play at Vandy, right? Yeah. Remember we squad to Vandy to play.
Vandy for homecoming.
I want to get your comments on that, but I want you to also talk about. I like how you pointed out the steps here. Let me see what I have them here. Gosh, now I can't find them. Hold on. Well, we'll talk about that while I find out the steps. Where should TSU be playing?
I would in my heart of hearts is at Hale Stadium, and I believe by doing that, it's going to bring, and we build that community back up and bring the pride back, to our community by being on campus. It's very difficult and over the years here to get the students to the games, and people coming downtown and like Coach Head is talking about, we're coming down there, we're spending our money down there, and I think just within the last few years, we're not, a couple of years not had to pay rent. We're finally getting concessions, but that's still, it's not home. And it's quite honest, they don't want us down there, and the fan base doesn't want to be there. And they've been saying that for 30 years.
And James, I said that about the OVC.
Oh yeah, I mean, that is even crazier to me, because what we thought we were going to get, I believe what we thought we were going to get, and what from the OVC definitely didn't materialize. From fan support and all that, because none of those schools come to see us. They don't come to Nashville, to in big numbers, but they want us to bring our fans and our band all over the country.
Right.
You know, and that's not right.
You know, I covered the first TSU OVC competition, TSU basketball versus Youngstown State. Anthony Mason put on a show that night, and despite the refs just like, dude, why don't somebody just get him a Youngstown uniform?
Butcher them up.
I'm like, is this how it's going to be every game? And TSU lost on a buzzer. The dude shot it about 5 seconds late. They said good. Golly, it's going to be a long, hard road, man. Right. If it's anything like that. I found what I wanted to ask you about, James. Why HBCUs are losing the game. Number one, resource gaps. Number two, recruitment disruption. Number three, identity crisis. I'm a little surprised about number three because everybody knows, not everybody, but TSU has an extraordinary reputation for athletic excellence.
Yeah, we do. You know, we do, and from TSU's perspective, even in some of the HBCU forums I'm in, some of these they don't consider TSU HBCU.
HBCU, no.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people want. Yeah.
That's it. Just because the conference we're in is like, oh, you're not a black college. You know, of course they haven't done their homework, but you know, that's the perception, you know, right now. You know, so that's part of it. You know, that's
this consent decree that came out probably when Mike was in school, when the students went on strike.
Yeah, I was there.
And that was, I think, early 90s.
Yeah, I was there.
And they put so much pressure on the state. Kids were going into bathrooms that were flooded, toilets they couldn't use, building was dirty and nasty, all of those things. And the kids finally said enough is enough and started protesting. Well, then the state's first reaction was, we don't have any more money. The protests continued, and from thin air, every dormitory on the campus, every building on the campus that needed repair, boom, it got done in a heartbeat. The issue again is the $2.1 billion. Everything, all that you are talking about right now is the $2.1 billion that they have been cheated out of over a 60-year period.
Yeah.
How much would a $2.1 billion injection of cash into Tennessee State result in? I'm peeved because none of the alumni have gotten together and sued the state of Tennessee like everybody else, all the other schools have. I have offered to the first donation of $100 to do so on my podcast. Now, if you want to get it straight, the issue is legal action. White folks and us negotiating across the table is worthless as tits on a boar hog. So it is time either for Tennessee State to put up or shut up. And I've been told that the prevailing thing is to say, well, we're not going to get that. We might as well leave that alone. That's BS.
Well,
go ahead.
Now, I just wanted to get Mike in here before I go back to James. And I think the 1912 Sports Group is probably taking some of the steps that you were just talking about. But I want to get what you think so far, Mike. And then I want to go back to this 1, 2, 3 points that you pointed out, James.
Okay.
Well, the thing about it is that because I got there before James did, remember, I came into the epicenter of all the nonsense that was happening. We had an interim president Our AD was Gail Sayers.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they were talking
2
about
days a week. He was the AD.
Yeah.
Right. So Dr. Peters was our president, but he was interim. And then the whole transition of, and this was right before the OVC. So the whole transition of, hey, now Tennessee State is the only public school in the city of Nashville. So we think that Tennessee State should be commensurate with the city of Nashville by its demographics. So they were talking about trying to change the demographics right when I got there. I said, what did I walk into? They trying to mess up this HBCU? Yeah. Then they started to get students of a certain persuasion on campus. And lo and behold, all that ill repute and all the bad dorms and all that started to get retrofitted. And they wanted to make sure that these new students would not be coming into the hood and the projects. Because remember, we were surrounded by the projects then, and it was an open campus at that time. So the hood was right there. All of a sudden, it became a closed campus, and our sub building was gone. And all of a sudden now, not Epps, but King Hall, we got retrofitted and it looked like a mall over there now. When I come back from homecoming, I'm like, man, look all this difference. But my thing also was that, then the OVC kicked in like around 87 is when I really saw it, because when you talked about with Mason, that's when I was writing for the meter. So I wrote for the meter and I talked about that. And Mason totally dominated OVC, 28 a game, 10 rebounds, shot 50 from three, third leading scorer in the nation. And they gave the MVP to Jeff Martin, a junior at Murray State. Now, contrast that over at Vanderbilt, Dyron Nix was the best player at Tennessee as a junior, but they gave the MVP to Will Purdue over at Vanderbilt.
Yeah. That's funny you said, Mike. I remember writing a column for the Banner, and Will Purdue's a good player at Vanderbilt. But I wrote in the column, I said, Will Purdue's a good player, but he's not even the best player in town.
Exactly.
You want to see the best player in Nashville? Come over here and watch this guy, Anthony Mason, at Tennessee State. Right. I mean, he was doing some crazy stuff over there. But James, the points you had, you started number one, the resource gap.
Yeah, the resource gap, is huge, because when you start looking at, there's not only scholarship, you have like cost of attendance in there. You have the actual physical resources on, do they have training tables? Do they have all these different meals? Do they, where they've been housed? And then, weight rooms, all that kind of stuff. It's unbelievable. As I've gone to Texas A&M and and watched Marcel's games. I've gone to Duke University, and had some contacts over there and saw how the resources are and UT, what they provide for their players. Even FIU, my daughter was got a golf scholarship to FIU. Now you can compare FIU to Tennessee State, and totally different experience. For the athlete, so, there's that part is when you walk into a place and you see all the things that they can do. And that's what the parents are going to see. That's what the athletes are going to see.
$2.1 billion.
$2.1 billion. Yeah.
You keep coming to that. Yeah.
I mean, it has a big play in there. And then, and even with the, when we look at from the stipulation settlement with the NCAA, and you got, and that was mainly for, the P4 schools. They have a $20.5 million, salary cap basically to divide up, and all the rest of us, there's, NILs really wasn't made for anybody, but that group of teams.
And then you go on to talk about the recruitment disruption. We kind of talked a little bit about that, the identity crisis. Mickey Joseph from Grambling State says, if a kid leaves for a group of five or a Power Five, I need a buyout. I need compensation for that. So NCAA, if you're listening, we need a buyout. Coach Head, as a former athletic director, is something like that? Anything's possible, what do you think about what Coach Joseph had to say?
The NCAA is the biggest boondoggle in the history of sports. A youngster who wants to go to a Division 1 AA, 2, or 3 institution has to submit his transcript and all of that to the NCAA to be evaluated and his eligibility to be decided. Each one of those cost $88. Well, the last time I dealt with it, cost $88. How many young people send stuff to the NCAA every summer? 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million. Now consider $88 from each and every one of them. And the NCAA is supposed to be a nonprofit organization. The NCAA got slapped on the wrist because of the amount of what is it? Not resources, but stuff that they own and how much money they have in reserve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for 100, not 100, there's about 45 HBCUs, for them to pay these universities like they should have been handled, or whatever the coach is asking for, it would be a pittance compared to what they have.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what you have as we talk about our universities competing is just like what you said about Will Purdue and Anthony Mason. Okay, if you compete at Vanderbilt, you become the player of the year in the SEC. If you compete at Tennessee State, even though you are head, shoulders, and hips better than anybody in the conference, you finish second in the MVP voting. I hate to keep, as man asked Martin Luther King, said, Reverend King, when are you going to stop playing the race card? He said, when you take it out of the deck. The thing that you have to understand is that when you deal with these people, you got to deal with them with a 30-year plan, because that's what they look at you as. That whenever they're going to destroy something you love, I want you to watch the documentary about the decimation of Stax Records in Memphis, and how that went down, and the man that owned Stax explained how it would happen, and it happened just like he said.
You talking about the record company?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw something about that.
It's one thing, Rick. I'll just this conversation, because as Coach Head was just talking about 30-year plan, 30 years, and it's funny, like the guys that are on our board, that's kind of how not 30 years, but from a long-term perspective. Just say if you and I got actually 2 points, because I've been talking to some other HBCU NIL collectors as well. Is what if HBCUs had a $20 million bucket, in their collectives, a $10 million bucket, and that would drastically change some things in terms of, especially for football, because it's hard for me to believe that some of these black athletes would not want to be on any HBCU's homecoming campus, homecoming game and play game on campus, compared to running out here in Rocky Top. I just don't believe that. So one of the things that as we kind of position ourselves, I think from the HBCU NILs that have started, I think we should start grouping together and then we present to these larger corporations as a group instead of individual. And I think that'll help us get. Now we can get $20 million to split up between 40 schools or whatever, and because we're all out here doing the same thing in our own little spaces, but we're doing it with 250 athletes per school. Well, let's multiply that. Okay, now let's go sit down. We got 10,000 athletes now. Coca-Cola. We got 10,000 athletes. Tesla. What can y'all do for us? Because our people are buying your products. So
absolutely. And like here, you have what needs to change. NIL equity pools. I think you're kind of speaking to that now. Transfer limitation and retention incentives. Because as you mentioned earlier, my son coaches, Ricky Jr. coaches on the JUCO level, and he has to recruit a guy and keep a guy even at JUCO.
Yeah, I mean, the rules are. Those years don't even count anymore. I don't believe.
Yeah, they don't. They don't count anymore.
Yeah.
So a joker can play for 6 years without any problem.
Yes.
Ricky, I would say to James that it is important with what you now are doing to look 20, 30 years down the road. Africa is now getting the internet. That adds 1.5 billion people to business on the internet.
Right.
HBCUs need to be at the forefront of that situation. Now, whether or not you can get, think of Tennessee State with $2.1 billion to invest into an online whatever.
Yeah.
And it stretches all the way to Africa.
Yeah.
What do you the 30 years down the road now, what did I say a minute ago? Because this thing with Africa is going to jump off not too far in the future. So you need to have a plan to take advantage of that now.
Yeah.
When I first went to Atlanta 100 years ago, 1974, Ted Turner started WTBS. And on WTBS, yes, cable station. Everybody said, cable, what? What is cable? That ain't nothing. We'll just keep doing what we're doing. And he became a multi-billionaire in about 10 years. All right. So 30-year plans. If you are in athletics, you can't plan for tomorrow today. You got a football schedule that should be at least 5 years old ahead of time. You got a basketball schedule. It needs to be 5 to 7 years in advance. You got an overall goal sheet for your athletic department. That should be your 10, 15, 25-year plan so that you know what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So at each step, when you evaluate it, then you say, well, we did not meet this year, so we need to change this to meet the next goal. I've forgotten, a gentleman told me the other day the rule of 72.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the accumulation of wealth and influence. Now, I cannot explain it to you because he was telling us sitting at the round table at the YMCA, Northwest Y in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
But as he explained it, it's multiplicity of time and money. And that is what we don't necessarily do as we plan things for the future. We can no longer wait for the state, the governor of the state of Tennessee to tell us which way we're going.
Hey guys, we got so much to cover, but we only got a few more minutes.
Well, let me definitely get this in.
Yeah, hop in right quick. And then I want to ask you some football stuff before we get you out of here. We got a star quarterback in here. Can't let him get away without asking. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. No, and we got to get you back too, James.
Right. It's a two-parter. So, and I was talking to Ricky about this, and when we had Rod on too. So one part, you got Phil Knight doing his thing in Oregon and over here at Stanford. Does anyone expect our billionaire Oprah to have any kind of connection, or we just say, you know what, she's probably not even interested in any of our sporting things? So has she been pulled as helping get TSU to another plateau?
To my knowledge, I'm not sure. I do know that they've announced a $100 million campaign over the next 3 years, and that President Tucker is going out and meeting with those high earners. I know for a fact that he's reached out to Richard Dent to bring him back into the fold, because I think he's needed, definitely from an athletic perspective. But you think of those type people that over the years, their connections that they have, and anything, how many favors have they done for people over the years? They can easily call in some favors, like, hey, all right, I helped you out with this. I need this. I need you to send some money this way, and it'll happen. But I do, I've had conversations with President Tucker, and I think his mindset from a business perspective is right. I think he's fiscally responsible, and I'm just kind of looking forward to him injecting that, that into our culture and kind of bringing everybody back in. And I'm starting to see that because people are starting to come back, even in the work that we're doing. 1912, people are starting to come back, just based on the direction of the school.
$2.1 billion.
Okay. The other part is this. Okay, devil's perspective. All right, I'm a recruit, maybe from the Chi, from my area, from the Chi, and I got a chance to go to this black college, plenty of honeys, all that stuff, right? It's in a major city. They have pro sports there too. Now, why is that not and guess what? You'll get to play on an NFL field, buddy. So why is that not a tool that will get everybody there?
Dude, that is the recruiting tool. That is the recruiting tool. We were just talking about this the other day.
Right.
What other HBCU, first of all, plays in a metropolitan city?
That's what I'm saying.
That has an NFL team, that actually has an SEC team, and then looking at Nashville in itself and what it's become. Like when I'm talking to the guys for NIL and some of these, I'm saying, hey, yeah, you're gonna come get a great education. We'll have some NIL money for you. And we got a huge pool of companies to pull from. Okay. You're not, I'm not knocking the other schools, but I'm not in any these little small towns. I'm not in Jackson, Mississippi.
Like Grambling.
Pine Bluff. I'm not in Grambling. Right. Those are going to be very localized. No, we're going to build you up. I say, about LeBron went to the Lakers? That's to build his brand. He didn't go there to play basketball. He went there to get closer to entertainment.
He's a businessman.
He's a businessman. So that's the mindset. And the kid's like, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, that's what you want to look at. It says, all this is happening in Nashville. Mm-hmm. All this money is being made in Nashville. You can participate in it too. And that's part of that's part of it.
That's
not only is the money great.
Like, how do you not market that as like I said, being recruited, I'm like, man, you can go to a HBCU that's in a nice sized city and get all this going on and pro sports. Because when I got to TSU, it was horrible because, like I said, I grew up in Chicago, Milwaukee area, so I had sports galore. I get down there, the Bucks are playing USSR. That shows you how long ago that was.
Oh,
they're playing the Soviet Union on TV. I turn it on, Hee Haw was on. I'm like, what? I called the station. I said, why in the world am I not seeing the NBA game? They said, it's not enough interest in the NBA here. So I said, man, it's going to be a long 4 years. So to have a whole different metropolis there and the whole psyche of Nashville.
Well, you see how Nashville has grown, man.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
You need to drop your kids off on Broadway. Just bring them in, show them the campus.
There you go.
Drop you off on Broadway. We come get you Sunday morning.
Every time I come home, man, I'm like, whoa. Hey, James.
Rick, can I make a point on
what that?
And you can go from a raw freshman to an MD within a mile.
Oh, yeah.
Institutions within a mile of each other.
Exactly.
Boys, right. You got 4 HBCUs there total.
So
3 of them.
But the thing comes back to $2.1 billion.
You should get a T-shirt. Pay me my 2.1.
Well, don't forget to be a minister too, though. We got the Baptist college.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got Rick said.
Yeah, you got all kinds of options.
After you hang out at TSU Fisk and the Harry all weekend, you go to
American Baptist,
ABC, and get some religion. Hey James, and James Wade, and to our viewers out there, star quarterback at Tennessee State University, and one of the great. When everybody talks about you, and whenever I hear you speak, James, you're so calm, cool, and collected. Everybody talked about you being one of the great leaders. And number one, talk about as an athlete on the field what leadership meant to you. You playing the leadership position at quarterback, that don't automatically make you a leader.
Correct.
And number two, the influx of Black quarterbacks, not only in college but in the NFL today, since the time you played.
Yeah, I think from a leadership perspective, I came to TSU as a defensive back. And I actually tell Coach Thomas that I would not come to TSU if I was playing quarterback, because I was that time 5'11" and 145 pounds. So you just think of all the QBs that ever played at TSU,
right? Which
I've seen. I was like, no way.
Right. You were different.
Like these guys. So I'll stay on defense and put some weight on. I can go to the NFL as a cornerback. No, they moved me over, and I remember I cried. I cried that night. I called my mom, and I said I wanted to leave. I said they lied to me, and I said I knew I should just play basketball. She said, "No, you got to stick with it." So they recruited 6 other quarterbacks, so it was 9 total there. My redshirt freshman year, and they were all bigger, faster, stronger, and all that. And I remember going into Coach Gillum's office. It was like, man, how am I going to play? How can I play? And he said, I can't tell you the answer to that. He said, you're going to have to figure it out, what's going to put you on the field and keep you on the field. So at that point, I knew I had to get stronger, but I watched how Coach, what the things that he harped on. And number one was reading defenses and understanding where to go with the ball. And it didn't matter how far you threw it, but if you were throwing to the wrong person, you get moved back in the line. You just you back to.
But you had an exemplary arm, James. You were no slouch in throwing the football in high school. Well, I watched you on film.
I didn't have to throw it that far in high school, but I didn't have to throw it far in high school. But in college, you got to throw those 30-yard comebacks on a rope. So that was different.
Well, wouldn't you have the advantage on them knowing what a is like to be a defensive player? So is that what got you ahead of everybody?
It does. And a lot of people don't know this, but Rex Ryan, Robert Ryan, that was his first job.
Yeah.
It was at Tennessee State. And I spent more time with Coach Ryan than I did with Coach Gillum. And we were going over defenses. So, when I would walk up to the line of scrimmage, I just look on a few keys and I'm like, I kind of know 75% where I knew where all the weak areas were. Yeah. So I just had to make sure I got the drop, got my steps, and be ready to throw the ball, at that time. And that's what proved to the guys that I knew what to do, because I came in and beat out guys that they saw that were better athletes than me. I was not a rah-rah guy at all, but they were like, man, they trusted me in the huddle that I was going to, do the right thing with the ball. And that's kind of won me over. And it's and without having to be the, everybody get on my back. No, I was not the loudest guy. I was probably one of the quietest guys, but when we walked in, got in that huddle, everybody, paid attention. because they knew we were,
the Lord gives you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you did what
reason.
you were supposed to do.
And I'm sure you, as a former court, you got to be proud of what you're seeing in the game of football today from that position.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We still have, the chirping out there that we're not, we're not good enough. This last little thing with bringing Phillip Rivers back to me is a little slap in the face to some.
44 years old.
Oh my God, he skipped over a whole lot of guys that could go out there. I just like, oh my God. So, but what I'm seeing now, and even throughout working with quarterbacks here in Florida, and then when I come up and work with quarterbacks up there, making it they're a lot more cerebral now, and better passes of the ball, which is when I think of people that can actually pass the ball, when the first time I didn't see Joe Gilliam Jr. play, but at 48 years old, he walked back on the field in spring and started throwing some passes. And I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine what he was like when he was younger. But what I'm seeing now, with Dak, with the Green Bay quarterback, even Lamar is playing well. And then the guy that, I'm not an Eagles fan, but Jalen Hurts does it the right way. And these guys are definitely, setting the standard, for this next wave of QB. So we've arrived. We've arrived.
What was it like to play for Coach Gillen, one of the great coaches in the sport of football?
That was the most stressful time of my life. I'm gonna just tell you, I don't know if I enjoyed football as much as I could have, because I knew I had to be on point all the time. And we competed at everything. You didn't know you were going to start until Friday's practice. And that was still iffy if you went out there and didn't have a good practice.
Wait a minute, throughout your whole time, that's it?
Yeah. Once Coach Gillum started, he was very demanding. And I may have gotten one compliment from him. And I remember that was homecoming my senior year against Austin Peay. And we ran what we call a 7-fly, 9-fly 80, which the split end and the flanker run flies. The tight end is deep in the middle. My backs control the linebackers, and I took an 11-step drop because it was homecoming. It was packed in the hole, so you're a little excited. I was throwing it deep to somebody. I didn't know who at the time. So I dropped back and I stepped up and I kind of gave a little head pump to the tight end. Free safety came down, threw it right over his head, 76-yard touchdown. He says, "Hey, good read, Wade." I'm like, dang it too.
Hey, that lit you up like a firecracker, didn't it?
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Came back and
he almost shouted when he got there.
I was like, is this Coach Gilliam?
Did you say that homecoming was in the hole?
Yeah, it was Austin Peay, 1992.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Yeah, because I think I went to the last homecoming in the hole. I think it was 98.
Yeah.
And then the first one at Adelphi, whatever it's called back then, was in 99.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But Coach Head and I are both older than you young fellas, man. And I saw, I was a kid when Joey came through, and I didn't know. I just knew, man, not only could he throw the ball, he did it with so much flair.
Yeah.
And I even remember a little bit of Eldridge Dickey. My father would
I
take
was wondering if you remember that.
Yeah. The Lord's Prayer. Coach, and we got to get out of here. James, you got to come back, because I want to do, and we want to do all we can to help people learn more about the 912 Sports Group too. Yeah. And you and Coach Head has a very popular podcast. We probably get you on with him. I'll get you guys together. But Coach Head, talk to us about Eldridge and Joey. And because we all saw 747. Did you see 747? James?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I talk to him at least once a week.
Yeah, but you saw him play too.
I never saw Joe Adams play at all.
Yeah, you were gone at that time.
I saw Eldridge Dickey. I saw Joey in high school. Pearl High, the first year they played NBA. NBA beat them 54-0 or 6. And all of the place was full of black folks, which was unusual at that time. And the next year, Joey came back and plastered I think maybe 50 on NBA. But Eldridge Dickey was the consummate athlete. Not only could he throw, but he ran well. I mean, he was quick and fast. And he had, of course, in that day and time, Tennessee State had the best athletes in the country.
Yeah.
HBCUs had the best athletes in the country. Yeah. So to see a guy with that type of ability was not completely outrageous. I saw Doug Williams play in the hole. I saw Shaq Harris play in the hole. Yeah, when one left, the other one came in. And the only game I ever saw Tennessee State lose was against Shaq Harris in the hole. The only game I ever saw them lose.
I think 26-24. I think it was 26-24. I remember I was at that game.
The place was quiet as so quiet you could hear a rat lick lard. It was just that.
I remember, and I'm gonna get fined here, but I remember when FAMU came to town with Bob Hayes, and TSU held him to -8 yards.
Oh, wow!
Bob was not a running back. Bob was a wing back in the wing T.
For Jay Gaither. Yeah.
So he was more a runner than a receiver. And what Tennessee State did, they kept him bottled up all night, and would not let. Bob wasn't going to run the ball between the tackles. I'll tell you that now. And every time he touched it, it was a sweep of some kind.
Because that's right. He went on to be a wide receiver in NFL, and he averaged 22 yards a catch. And to our viewers out there, YouTube Bob Hayes, and you will see him run. People think Jamison Williams is fast up here with the Lions, and he is. Brother, he'd be running slow.
10-1 is fast anywhere.
Yeah, he'd be running slow motion next to Bob.
Well, let's not forget when Nehemiah was playing.
Yeah, Skeets could do it. Hey, James, and this is it, and I gotta go. Coach talked about the halcyon days of Black college football. Everybody had great. What level can we get back to? Not only at Tennessee State, but for HBCU football as a whole, so people start coming to these games for more than just the halftime show.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question right there, man. I think where all the schools are trying to search for that. I think it starts with the students. I really do, and we really have to hone them in, because there's a gap from. And I just use Tennessee State as an example. There's a gap from the time that I left school till now, where the even connection with the football players and the students, and you see the attendance has gone further and further down. Man, a lot of it has to do with going downtown, but a lot of that has to do with we don't promote that enough internally as a unit, as they should be supporting these sporting teams, all the teams, not just football. But I think that's one of the areas that we have to do is get the students back involved and heavily involved, because they're not coming to the games. And then when they start coming to the games and get that excitement back, then you're able to build. As they get older, they're still coming to the games, but you got some more students coming here. So we've lost students, because right now when you go, especially when you go on the road to a TSU football game, it's everybody from 50 plus.
Yeah.
There's
my
no
generation.
No 20s. There's no 20s to 50s there. They're not there. And so we lost 30 years there. Yeah.
What you have to do is look at Tennessee State's athletic history overall. Tennessee State has the greatest Olympic tradition in the country, bar none. Yes. Tennessee State has more Olympic medals than
some countries.
68 countries in the world. Exactly. I didn't say 68 institutions in the United States. I said 68 countries in the world. So you don't know that because you never see that. Mm-hmm. You never see John Merritt being celebrated except at the John Merritt Classic, and it has dwindled because the SID that's supposed to be promoting it knows nothing of the history of the university.
Yeah.
What Brother Wade is saying is that the identity of the university has been muddled. Yeah. Are we an HBCU or not? Matter of fact, the state made them quit using the designation of HBCU.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. Back when the consent decree was signed, can't use that anymore. You can't have your queen in ebony as a black college homecoming queen. You remember every year Ebony had they forbade them to do that anymore. So they were trying to tone down black, as Mike was saying a few moments ago. The culture change was one that was perpetuated and led to the university being in the
Ohio,
the conference they're in, the OVC.
Yeah.
The OVC offers Tennessee State 0.
I agree with that. Hey, we got to do this again. We got to get out of here. Once again, happy birthday to you, Mike. I hope you had a fabulous weekend.
Let me ask him this quick thing here. So,
Mike, I
gotta get out of here, man. Go ahead.
Well, since we were like the Notre Dame of HBCUs, being independent, is it absolutely a mandate that we go to the SWAC, because we're still leading national championships, but I think we might be tied now with FAMU or somebody. But we can't win a national championship now if the Celebration Bowl is the MEAC and the SWAC. Yeah. So, do we need to get into one of those conferences?
Well,
our old days.
Everybody is mad at Notre Dame because they won't play in a bowl game. Notre Dame going to a bowl game would be a loss in revenue for them.
Right.
And it would put their players in jeopardy when they don't need to be for less money. So I totally agree with what they're doing. With HBCU, we have to stop selling our market. We go and play at Ohio State, so Ohio State's fans can marvel at the marching of the aristocratic bands. They invite Florida A&M somewhere, so you keep going places and getting killed. So people say, well, y'all ain't playing no football. Play people that you can play with. Play with folks on your level.
Ohio State played Grambling. It may have been this year, last year. Yeah. I'm like, why come y'all didn't call him in 1965?
Yeah.
You know why they didn't.
Go play Eddie in 1965.
Play Tennessee State the 2 years that they beat the University of Louisville and scared San Diego State into a heart attack.
And I covered that game when they went up there and beat I mean, they physically they put a physical ass whooping on Louisville. That's why I tell people now, Louisville's football program has really gone up. After TSU went up there and whooped their ass like that, they're like, whoa, man.
2 years in a row now.
Yeah.
We invited them to homecoming.
And There's some clips around of Coach Merritt talking about that. We were just some little country boys that went out there.
Yeah.
I told you about rules for colors and rules for whites, didn't I, Rick, last night when we were talking? You remember I told you the meeting that Coach Merritt and Coach Gillum went to?
Yeah. You told me.
So,
we got to do all this next time. James Wade, we got to get you back from my frat brother and friend Michael Roberson. And wait a minute, James is a noob too.
Yeah,
with 3 noobs, man.
I was like, hey, wait.
This is such a great show.
Flagging going on, dude.
Oh man, we got to get you back. Thank you, and thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. Sorry to the people coming up next. We went a little long, but we'll see you next week. James, I'll be in touch.
Okay.
God bless everybody. Take care.
All right. Have a holidays, guys.